Hey, what's going on out there, everybody? It's the Sammy Lake here representing TeamJVS. Here you guys a review from TIFF 2024. I'm talking about It Doesn't Get Much Better Than This. Yes, that is the actual title of this story. The breakdown of it is you have a guy who has a wife, who has a best friend. They're all really close. They've been close since high school or maybe college. And more specifically, his wife is really connected with his friend as well, even though his friend is gay. And they always started trying to make like little mini movies and like home videos, and specifically staging it on horror. And his wife and best friend do like different seances and all these different kind of things. And one day they go and get an article and they want to go and get this haunted house, and they decide to go and purchase the haunted house. And in doing so, unfortunately, their life hits a very bleak and dark trajectory. And the main person basically elaborates that, this is a tragic story that actually happened, but I just have already filmed it all and I want to kind of displace it to you guys. What I'll say positive, I think that the film itself, if framed like this was what we thought the pitch was, like a Blair Witch situation where, if it had started with just the camera rolling and like somebody like, oh, I'm coming across this house and this is this, that, and the other, I think that if they would have just leaned into that, it would have been a really interesting story. Because at the very first act, like first to second act transition, did seem really interesting. I was kind of like, oh wow, this is really real, and I don't know what I'm actually about to see, because this would be really intriguing, to actually have like a real documentary of something, or possibly, science fiction standpoint, like seeing the entity or whatnot. But that's not what the film does. The film actually opens up and lets you know very early on that this is not that. This is just very much a movie. And I think that's where you start like these pitfalls, because the film itself kind of breaks itself apart from the transition of scene act 2 to act 3. Mainly because a lot of the moments were just too over the top. Not on the acting standpoint. I think the acting was very plausible. I think there's just certain scene selections that they just did not need to do, because they just try to make it such a artistic gesture. Because some of the artistic gestures would be like all of a sudden like something crazy happens, so the music's just blaring into your ears uncomfortably. There were people in the theater that kind of walked out because it just kept going. One of the moments in the film is someone doing kind of like a seance in a certain specific area, and it just kind of sticks there and leans there, and it does absolutely nothing. And I think that it was trying to lend itself to being like, again, like I said, like a found footage kind of thing, but you already lost the audience with that. In addition to that, like it just keeps going downhill in the way that the story progresses. The narrative and the way that they handle the story is just not, unfortunately, good going from second act to third act. Initially, it kind of was getting me like, oh, wow, this is interesting, to just being over the top and unbelievable. And it just not, unfortunately, not one of the films that I was looking for at TIFF 2024. From a horror standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, it just did not lend itself to me at all. And dare I say, is one of the, unfortunately, not one of the better films I've seen this year. I would say again that I think the acting was pretty decent, and I think the framing of it, if you've done right, it's not like you don't have to be the best actor if you're kind of doing this off of found footage. But that's not what they presented, because they try to make artistic choices to show you like, no, this is this movie, this is what I'm trying to do, and it did not work for the film as a whole. And I felt like it was just constructed decently, but it just wasn't executed well at all. This was a 3 out of 10. I was leaning towards 2.5, but I'm gonna settle at a 3 out of 10. This was just not it. Initially, I was gonna give it a 2 out of 10, but I did think that specifically the first act, like some of the action, the actors, like how they executed their characters, I think did a decent job with it. But let me know what you guys think if you've ever seen this film. I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell button. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace, people.